Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 486. Klein's Conjectures. Emlyn was similarly confused. Words like Rose Redemption, Angel of Fate, and destroying the repeated cycle of fate were beyond his understanding. He only felt that he could understand every word, but had no idea what they meant when placed together. Could it be that the young son had just escaped the pursuit of an angel? Emlyn guessed from the small amount of information he could understand. After Derek thanked Mr. Fool, the hangman shifted his position slightly, leaned slightly towards him, and kicked off from Miss Justice's question. He said in a normal tone, "What was the exact sequence of events?" Derek didn't hide anything and honestly replied, "Miss Justice, Mr. Hangman, Miss Magician, and Mr. World, thank you for your concern, and thank you for the suggestions you previously gave me. In my sixth exploration I tried." He described his actions and the corresponding results, highlighting the matter that the little boy, Jack, came from Enmat Harbor and the details of the Rose Redemption murals. Enmat Harbor. That strange little boy, Jack, is really from the Lone Kingdom. In other words, the forsaken land of the gods, where the City of Silver is somehow connected to the northern and southern continents in some way. As long as one finds the right place, they'll be able to enter. Klein seemed to be listening leisurely, but he had made a judgment in his mind. Enmat Harbor was located to the east of Tingen City and was one of the most famous seaports in the central region of the Lone Kingdom. Together with Pritz Harbor to the south, they supported the resupply of more than half of Backlund's goods. The spirit medium Mam Daly had once settled there, and Mr. Z of the Aurora Order seems to be there as well. Klein recalled something from the past. The same judgment also appeared in the minds of Alger, Audrey, and Furs. Towards this, some of them had pure excitement, others filled with curiosity and worry, fearing that the all-consuming darkness around the City of Silver would continue to spread, eventually enveloping both the northern and southern continent and the 5 seas. The chief told me that he recalled some unverified content recorded in some ancient books, based on matters that had happened and my warning. Rumor has it that when the Lord that created everything, the omnipotent and omniscient God, had his attention on this piece of land, he had several angels surrounding him. And there were 8 leaders of the angels, powerful beings that were closest to God's throne. Among them included the Son of God. Derek recalled Demon Hunter Collins' words and slowly said, "He suspected that Amon is the angel of time among the kings of angels, and the mural depicted the angel of fate, tailed devourer Ouroboros. 8 kings of angels? The 8 kings of angels who are closest to the Creator's throne?" Audrey was inexplicably excited when she heard this. She couldn't help but curiously ask, "Mr. Sun, what are the titles of the other 6 kings of angels and their names?" The chief didn't say, nor did I dare to ask. Derek replied, ashamed. "I really want to know the answer." Audrey subconsciously looked towards the end of the long bronze table, looking longingly at Mr. Fool, who was shrouded in gray fog, hoping to get the appropriate answer. She had already decided on the price she was willing to pay. "Why are you looking at me?" "I don't know either." Klein controlled the twitching of the corners of his mouth. Of course, he wasn't completely clueless. He could barely guess who 2 of the kings of angels were. The evil spirit in the underground ruin had described the Medici family as one of the founders of Rose Redemption. According to that mural, the angel of fate, Ouroboros, is likely one of the leaders of Rose Redemption. Both basically have equivalent standing, which is to say that the Medici family possesses a king of angels, but it cannot be determined if he has already perished. The Medici family is suspected to be in control of the Hunter pathway, which is the Red Priest pathway. That King of Angels title should be Red Angel or Angel of War. Since the Son of God is a King of Angels, Amon is one of them, being Angel of Time. Then Adam might not be one, but I can't confirm his title. As for the other 4 kings of angels, I can't guess who they are. Perhaps there might be one or a few of them inside the Twilight Hermit Order. It's possible. The Twilight Hermit Order views the fallen creator as its enemy, making it at odds against Rose Redemption, which worships that evil god. Perhaps its true origin comes from those few kings of angels. Right, there's indirect evidence which isn't substantial enough. According to the legends of the City of Silver, the authority of the Dragon of Imagination, Enkwelt, was taken back by the Creator. Logically speaking, it's not impossible for the Lord that created everything to give a portion of the authority to a king of angels by his throne. And from the description and guesses from Roselle's diary, the Twilight Hermit Order likely has a spectator, which has the strength at the level of an angel in the visionary pathway or even higher. The two can form a correspondence. Hermes is a person who had experienced that piece of history. As these thoughts flashed through his mind, Klein smiled and said, "You will come into contact with it in the future. When I figure it out, I'll sell you the appropriate information," he added inwardly. Seeing that Mr. Fool had no intention of answering, Audrey looked away with a slight sense of loss, motioning Little Son to continue his story. Alger had a bold idea. The history before the cataclysm can no longer be referenced. At the end of the third epoch and the beginning of the fourth epoch, there were only the 6 orthodox gods. Together with Amon and the Tailed Devourer, aren't there 8? They had benefited from the death of the Creator and succeeded in advancing to sequence 0? For a moment, Alger felt that his thoughts were blasphemous actions that could be punished by fire, but he was also unable to contain his excitement. He finally calmed down and concentrated on listening to Little Son tell his story. Towards all of this, Emlyn could only respond with a blank look. For all this, Emlyn could only respond with a blank expression. Although the Sanguine had a long history and lifespan, so they knew quite a bit about the history before the cataclysm, they were all concentrated before the ancestor fell asleep, and it didn't involve the so-called kings of angels. While Derek was recounting the details of how the City of Silver, Chief Colin, destroyed the repeated cycles of fate, Klein was thinking of another matter. It can be roughly confirmed that the Tailed Devourer, Ouroboros, is the sequence 1 snake of Mercury of the monster pathway. All the kings of angels correspond to sequence 1s? Could that angel of fate be the one pursuing Will Auceptin? If he is, that means that the true Creator's forces in Backland aren't limited to Mr. A and his subordinates. However, the 2 snakes of Mercury are fighting for the position of sequence 0, to the point of draining all of the Tailed Devourer's strength. He should be fully occupied and cannot spare time for this. Of course, I can't eliminate the possibility that Will Auceptin is equivalent to Ouroboros. However, the chances aren't high. Rose Redemption has quite a number of demigods and even angels. There's no need to let the Tailed Devourer restart his life as an ordinary person without protection. There's another possibility. The 2 snakes of Mercury in Backland aren't the angel of fate. The latter is still active in the forsaken land of the gods. That way, all 3 snakes of Mercury are accounted for. After finishing his recount of how they escaped the cycle, Derek expressed his gratitude once again. As for Audrey and company, despite listening to the repeated events a second time, it still left them shivering down to their bones, filling them with curiosity and fear. This is beyond my knowledge of Beyonder powers. It's all thanks to the help Mr. Fool gave. Audrey sincerely praised the Tarot Club's master from the bottom of her heart, feeling full of confidence. Alger and the others had similar thoughts as her. They all thought that the repeated cycles of life were close to a miracle that could only be destroyed by a deity. Fortunately, the master of the Tarot Club was a deity. Mr. Fool was a deity. At that moment, Derek looked opposite him and sincerely said, "Miss Magician, due to some unexpected circumstances on our return to the City of Silver, despite it having been resolved, we have slowed down. It will prevent us from returning to the City of Silver on time. Your Spirit Eater stomach pouch will require another day or 2. Yes, I believe I'm no longer under surveillance. No problem, I can wait. I've prepared enough gold," Furs said as she let out a sigh. She had sold the Mirror Dragon's eyes to Miss Justice and had received £1,000 in cash. After informing her teacher, Dorian, of the exact results, her honesty had been praised and approved. Dorian told her that the £800 offer had been made in order to give her about £100 in labor fees. As such, The extra £200 would be a bonus for her. In other words, she had earned £300. Together with her original savings, she now had a total of £650, which was enough to buy the stomach pouch of a spirit eater. With this, Dorian trusted her a lot and revealed a lot of information regarding ingredients. It will take me at least 2 weeks to digest the rest of the potion. I'm not in a hurry. Looking diagonally across the table, Furs said, Mr. Hangman, there's news of the dragon-eyed sea condor you require. £2,200. Dorian had given a reference price of £2,000. On the one hand, Furs had allowed room for bargaining, and on the other hand, wished to earn a little more. £2,200. Alger couldn't help but frown. His financial situation wasn't looking good after he purchased the wind-blessed potion formula. Although he still had some secret savings, they were either of use elsewhere, or he hadn't been able to find a buyer for a long time. Phew. He secretly let out a sigh and calmly said, Very well, but I'll need some time to collect the funds. In addition, yours is too expensive. I have many channels to get cheaper ones. £1,900. That's the highest price I can accept. No, £2,000. That's the bottom line, Furs replied without hesitation. She was afraid that if she made too high an offer, then the other party would give up the deal. Alger immediately nodded. Deal! This? Furs was somewhat stunned. After listening by the side and witnessing the conclusion of a deal, Emlyn thought and eagerly asked, Ladies and gentlemen, does anyone know how a sanguine can improve their strength without relying on the bestowment of their elders? As soon as he finished speaking, he felt numerous gazes land on him. Sanguine? Is that the vampires of legends? Audrey's eyes sparkled as she studied Mr. Moon. And as a novelist, Furs no doubt had all sorts of beautiful or exotic fantasies of the sanguine, and her eyes were just as bright. Sanguine? Alger was taken aback at first, but he soon relaxed his brows. A vampire hiding in the darkness, covered in pus, while moving like the wind, Derek couldn't help but look sideways to size up Emlyn. Sanguine? The world was late by a second before giving a normal, necessary response.